I don't know how long she's gonna stay calm for, or when she's gonna finally take her little nap. But yeah, so I was up last night, like thinking, because now it's been like a week and a day since we spoke, and it's like, what am I supposed to say? Our relationship has been a mess. I've been unhappy. And I have left. We've broken up at least like 4 times now, 3 or 4 times. I've broken up with him like 3 times by now, I think. So, and it's just like, how did we get married then? I don't even know. I'm living off hopes and dreams at this point. And it makes me mad because that's not normal. Like, no child is supposed to be raised in a way where they make fantasies about people in their lives to cope. I'm looking out the window because I'm supposed to be getting this Kroger order. I said from like 3 to 4, it's 2:35. So, but yeah, so let's backtrack. We met each other at work. I worked first shift. He worked third shift. So we were never gonna meet except for a coworker who she bounced between like those shifts. So I worked with her and he worked with her sometimes, and I guess he started asking about me. There was this whole incident where I had a crush on this other coworker, and it was disgusting, right? Like, leading up to meeting my husband, I hadn't had a boyfriend in like 3 years. Like, I was still like kind of dating around during that time, but I hadn't had a boyfriend since my ex-boyfriend, that's a whole nother story. That it's horrific. Of course, you can probably guess. It's just like this. Sometimes I'm like, is my husband like the worst man I've been with? And when I tell you what he's done to me, you would be like, you still have to wonder if he's the worst one? Yeah, it's like that. So, yeah, I guess he was asking about me because of course I got rejected by the little work crush. And it was a very public, embarrassing type of thing. But that's a different story. So I didn't know until later on. He knew about me. He knew about the work crush. He knew I'd gotten rejected. He knew I was crying over it. He just knew too much when I didn't even know who he was. Like, had never seen him or nothing. Didn't even care what, like, his name being on the schedule meant nothing, because I was like, I don't know who the hell that is. I don't care. So I'm debating every time she starts crying. Should I just like would it be easier for me editing for her to just like, for me to just get up and get her and just leave it rolling and then cut it out? I don't know. But, yeah, so I walked to work because it was like a 30-something minute walk. Apparently, he had seen me walking to work when he was getting off work. Just too much knowledge. Somebody having too much knowledge about me when I don't even know they exist. Yeah, so when I found that out later on, we had already been together for like some months at that point. I was kind of like disturbed. I don't want to say like disturbed, but like it didn't sit well with me. So after I got rejected, everybody knew I got rejected at work. Everybody knew. I was crying in the basement bathroom, like it was that deep. So a couple days after that, right? I hope it wasn't just like, wasn't even a week later. All of a sudden, my coworker said that, he, my now husband, wanted to like get my number and said, she came up to me and said that he thinks that I'm cute and he wants to get my number. So, at this point, I cried my tears for the crush. I was like, okay, well, I got rejected, whatever. And then I was over that. And that this plays a huge part in a lot of how he used that fact that he knew, and this was his fault. He reached out knowing this. Of course, I didn't know. I didn't know that he knew this. So he reached out knowing I had just been rejected, right? So that's kind of predatory in itself. But then you're going to then use that and say that I was treating you as a rebound so you could justify why you were cheating. I'm going to have to specify like cheating, You know, there's different types of cheating. There's like being on dating apps, and there's having sex with somebody else, and there's emotional cheating. He's done all of the above to be right. So, yeah, it wasn't a week later. So I'm in this mind state like, okay, I'm trying to figure out my love life. I'm like, well, it's a big theme. Every time I like a guy, he never likes me back, right? It's never happened. So now at this point, I was 23, 24. I was 24 probably. And I'm like, okay, something's not working. Let me accept the type of person who likes me. I'm not thinking nothing negative right now. I was just like, you know what? Let me accept the love that I'm given. Maybe I need to learn how to accept attention, you know, that I'm being given. Because, of course, there was a lot of times at work where, you know, I'm getting hit on, flirted with through many jobs and at that job. But it's like the kind of guys who would do that it's just I wasn't attracted to them at all. So, in this case, I didn't even know what my husband looked like. I didn't know what he looked like or anything. So, but he already knew what I looked like because he had seen a picture of me with our coworker that we had taken. So he already knew, he knew too much about me. I didn't even know what he looked like. So, yeah, a coworker comes up to me. She's like, oh, he thinks you're cute. Like, he wants to talk to you. He works third shift. I work with him sometimes. Blah, blah, blah. So I just started asking some questions. I was like, oh, how old is he? She said he's 26. I was like, okay. Like, I've never been with a guy who's older than me. And it's like 2 years. How is that? Oh, just in general, like, that's just never been the case. Because growing up, you know how you kind of get stuck in time and it's like, my brothers seemed like they were 28 for like my entire life. So up till that point, I was just like, I don't want to be with a guy who's older than me because that feels like the only guys older than me in that range that I know is my brothers. So yeah, but I was like, you know what? Let me try something different. Trying something different in the wrong context is probably pretty much every woman's downfall. You think you're trying something different, right? You think you're trying something different because he looks different than your exes. It's a different age than your exes. All this superficial dumb stuff. That means nothing. It's the same person. You're about to embark on a journey with the same person. So, of course, I'm thinking I'm doing something different. And I was just like, let me just go out on a limb. Why not? Just see what happens. So I gave, I told her, yeah, you can give him my number because she had my number anyway. So, and I want to clarify that usually, I would not go for this. Like, when it comes to other women being involved in, like, matchmaking, I don't like that and I don't trust that because, the first time I got cheated, now this gets crazy because my childhood sweetheart will come up in this story again while I'm pregnant. He will come into this story again. But years and years and years ago, when we was freaking 10 years old, that's exactly how I lost my childhood sweetheart, how he left me. The girl who got in our business and got us together and facilitated that whole thing, at the beginning of the year was the same girl he left me for at the end of the year. So I've been getting cheated on for a long time, right? So I don't know what that tells you. I would have to think for a long time to think what guy I was with who didn't cheat. I would have to think. So, and that's why as I tell these stories, I hope you, the viewer, you start to kind of like see why, like, my tolerance level for being cheated on, just that one thing that should be a deal breaker, my tolerance level for that is like I'm completely desensitized. Even though this particular instance really bothers me, just because of the fact that I was pregnant and like just all the details about that was just like, I wish I had never found out any of that. I could have lived without knowing the details. But let's just say I saw dates being recorded on his Snapchat. I saw pictures of her. I saw pictures of them together. Messages. Yeah, anyway. So, where was I? But this particular coworker, she was in high school. So it was like, there was nothing there. There was nothing there to be had. I still find it very suspicious. Why are you 28 hanging out with an 18-year-old, smoking with her? And it wasn't even just with her, it was with like younger coworkers too. It's just like he had and has this very like young mindset where he thinks he can be a coachable role model for a younger, like a teenage guy. You don't even have your own life together. How are you going to be a listening ear and a guidance for any teenager? Anyway, just so you know, he has this like martyr complex. Like he can't stand to think of himself as a bad person, even though all he does is bad things. If you want to be seen as a good person, just do good things. Don't do horrible things and then tell everybody you're a good person and then try to bash people for telling you that you're horrible. Anyway, so yeah, that's the only reason I was like not concerned about her playing Cupid. So anyway, at first I didn't answer his text messages because he was like he sent me yo, like literally like Y-O. Who's gonna answer to that? And then he sent me good morning like twice, 2 different days. Who's gonna answer that shit? I don't know who he is. We've never met. Don't know what he looks like. You're coming to my phone saying yo. Are you stupid? I should have blocked him then. But so he sent me like 3 or 4 messages that I didn't respond to, and like a week had gone by, and then my coworker is like, "Oh, like, did you text him back?" Like, he said he's been texting. I said, "Girl, I'm not responding to yo. I'm not responding. I don't know who he is." Basically, like, come correct. This is the first red flag. Well, the second one, besides him basically like stalking me and profiling me already before I even know who he is. And I've been doing this our whole relationship up till now, telling him how to act right. So, yeah, but she relayed that message to him, and apparently he would have never thought to introduce himself or nothing like that had I not said anything, because it wasn't even worth that much. I wasn't worth that much to him to begin with. So I don't know why we're here with 2 children now. Anyway, so that got around to him. Then he finally came correct in my phone. But it's like, you had to be told, and that's ridiculous. You're almost 30. You're almost 30. So anyway, you know, he proves that he can communicate like a normal human being. I like paragraphs, like, and I don't know you, so you better be sending me a paragraph saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. My name is blank. I think you're pretty. I want to get to know you." So that's what happened eventually. So then that's when I responded finally. We go back and forth. I think, you know, we were sending pictures, and I saw he sent me a photo. And I was just like, I wasn't impressed. I was like, oh, I'm not attracted to him. Like, he has facial hair, and it's like, I'm not, look, let's be for real. I'm a K-pop girly, so you know what kind of mans I like, okay? I've never been with a guy who had facial hair. So, you know, but anyway, just to say, like, he wasn't my type through the photos. You know, when he takes a picture of himself, it's just highly unphotogenic. But, you know, he sent me that photo of him, and I, like, stopped responding for, I don't know how long. But, and I wish I had never responded again, to be honest, at this point. But for some reason, I thought to myself, oh, you're being judgmental. You don't need to be attracted to a man. You don't need to be attracted to somebody. That's not important for you. get to know him. You've been talking to him. You enjoyed talking to him so far. Oh my God. I cannot tell you how many times in college I would just wait for the college stories. But I remember a specific time, I was dating around being disgusting in college. I'm not going to lie. So I remember so many times where it was like, this one specific time, this white dude I was talking to, we got along. You would have thought we were two peas in a pod texting. When we got in person with each other, it was so weird. It's like, imagine meeting your long distance friend in person and then it's like, who are you? It was like that. So still somehow I was like, you know what? Maybe this could work. Still hadn't met him in person or anything. So also we hadn't talked on the phone yet either. So I didn't know what he sounded like or looked like in person. I never seen him. So I finally responded. After debating with myself, I was like, you're being ridiculous. So then, and this is like December. We started talking in December, so it's like toward the end of the year. I remember I think we did meet eventually. I'm trying to think because it was so odd. Like we might have talked on the phone before. I don't know. It was a strange thing. Like things were happening slower than I'm used to, but still all of this happened in a month and that was slower than I'm used to. So I thought that was good signals, After my ex, I was like, okay, I'm not going to, well, no, it was after some kind of fling that I had in the midst of this. I was like, you know what? I am not going to sleep with anyone who is not my boyfriend anymore. So he needs to be my boyfriend before we sleep together. So, nothing physical had happened. I think we hugged, maybe. And I remember, there's my order. But I remember, I remember how we met in person, and he had, kind of got his schedule changed so he could come in the afternoon when I was getting off, so we would have, a cross path. So, I remember he came in the front door because I was at the front counter. He smelled like straight weed. I could smell him all the way across from the, restaurant. This should have been another red flag for me. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't want to be with a guy who smokes weed. My ex smoked weed, and, he was not on my dad's level. No one can top my dad in sadism, but he was sadistic in his own right, where he would hotbox in the car and roll the windows up and lock the windows to try and get me contact high, stuff like that. So yeah, he smelled like my husband when we first met. He smelled like straight weed. And I was leaving. And our manager was next to me doing, because we have to do, it was a restaurant. So we're doing like the Dropbox thingy. So you have to give your ticket to your manager before you leave, how much money you dropped in the safe. So she was standing there, and I was doing that. So he came in. As soon as I saw him, I'm trying to rush and be gone, because as soon as I saw my husband, I got this jolt of adrenaline, anxiety. It was like, it was the warning emotion. But of course, I thought it was butterflies. So even still, I ignored it. Because I was like, no, I don't want to date right now. I don't want to be around nobody right now. And so I was trying to clock out and leave as fast as possible. But my manager, like, physically, thank you. Shoot. I guess this just gonna become a vlog, because I got to put my groceries up. Bring them in the kitchen and put them away and keep talking. All right. Okay, so and I'm going to be putting away a perishable stuff right now. Man, I still don't know if these go in the freezer or the refrigerator. Keep it refrigerator. Okay. All right. Okay, that was not as big of a deal as I thought it was gonna be. I'm gonna cut that out. I only got a couple things. Ooh, I almost fell. Oh gosh. I need a bigger thing. But what was I saying? Right. I was trying to dip. My manager physically, like, grabbed my shoulders and, like, stopped me. I'm not laughing because it's funny. But, I'm like 4'11". She, I was 4'11", like 90 something pounds at this time. And she was a big lady, okay? She was maybe about like 300 something pounds and like 6 feet tall. So anyway, she stopped me and then she introduced us, but we didn't really say anything. I remember telling him, the only thing I said to him is, "You don't need to know me," and then I left. Yeah, I really said that. I said it like I was gonna ruin his life. Anyway, all right, ma'am. I'm gonna let you loose. Don't make me regret. Don't make me regret. I had to release the trucking because she was raging. But yeah, that was the first time we met in person, and then after that, there was some kind of time where like we were gonna meet each other again, and I think we hugged a little bit, like a little awkward, sneaky hug because, neither of us wanted all our coworkers to know that we were like talking to each other, even though everybody knew. Cause I remember like that manager, she also worked first shift and night shift sometimes, so she was with the both of us, and so apparently, on his shift, he would be bragging like, and it's so crazy. He would be bragging, saying like, "That's my wife, like, I'm marrying her, like, she's blah blah, that's white," and all this other stuff. And I guess apparently he was even telling like the dude I had a crush on, like he worked with him too. We all like worked with each other basically. He was telling him like, "Oh, I'm gonna steal your girl," and all this stuff. Cause trust me, it wasn't just me having some delusional crush. I'm calling it a crush, but anyway. Good job. But yeah, so I guess he was telling that little crush, like, oh, I'm gonna steal your girl and all this other stuff. Very immature. So, yeah, he had brought me candy one day, and then we hugged, and then I left. And then, anyway, my first impressions when I saw him in person that first time, when my manager stopped me, he was tall, lean, and I saw the tattoos all the way up to his neck, but he had his hoodie on. And just like this sculpted jawline, thick eyebrows, like almond-shaped eyes, just very handsome, okay? And I was like, oh my God, I'm glad I kept talking to him. So, yeah. Me being attracted to my husband is absolutely not an issue. Like, he is very attractive. So, yeah, I was pleased. So, anyway, we spent New Year's Eve together. Like, talked alone for the first time. Talked on the phone for the first time. We talked for all night. You know how it goes. We talked all night long. Till like freaking 9 or 10 in the morning is when we finally hung up the phone. And so, at the time, my mom, you know, being nosy. Oh, girl. Oh! You always coming over here. But yeah, she was being nosy and heard me up all night, and she was like, who were you talking to all night? I was like, just this guy I'm talking to. She was like, is he your boyfriend? I was like, not yet. Because I was really liking him. So anyway, I stayed over when we went on our first date. We went to the arcade. We took pictures. We went to Outback Steakhouse. And it was a cute date. I don't remember if I stayed over that night or not. I don't think so. But whenever I did stay over, of course, like, we had sex, obviously. At this time, I was on Nexplanon. So, I have been on Nexplanon for, it was going into my 3rd year. But this was like my 2nd implant. No, my 2nd or 3rd implant. Yeah, I went on Nexplanon when I was 18, before I left for college. So yeah, I've been on that shit for 8 years at that point. And yeah, we had sex. I remember he took the condom off. Like, we took a break for a second because he had to pee, and then he took the condom off. He didn't put one back on, but then, of course, you know me, no standards. I didn't say anything. I didn't care. Luckily, he didn't give me no STDs. Anyway, so. But I was getting UTIs pretty regularly eventually. And that was tripping me out. But anyway. So, Apparently that's a sign that your body is rejecting the man. I don't know, but it ended up being birth control related. Anyway, that's a different story. Girl, go play with your toy. Ah! No. You don't want to do that. Stop it. Go away. Go away. Quit it. You just spit all over my... Let go, please. Okay, so, anyway, yeah, then, you know, we slept together. I stayed the night. Woke up in the morning and, you know, I was on top of him. We were cuddling. He was like, so what is this? And I was like, you're my boyfriend. We just, you know. So I told him what we were. Yeah, I told him he was my boyfriend. He didn't ask me to be his girlfriend or nothing. But he agreed. So we were together. Yeah. We were official. Anyway, some incidents started happening. Like, I remember one time I was sleeping over and I woke up to him talking on the phone. Turns out he's talking to a girl. This friend, supposedly, who later on, when I get into his Snapchat a couple months later, he has a nude, a full, I saw her whole boobs and kitty cat, okay? Because she sent him a nude and he saved it on his Snapchat. So he had already like asked me, like, how do you feel about guy and girl relationships? I said, if you want to do that, we're not going to be together. I don't go for that. I said, I don't go for that. So I said, I'm not into that. I don't do that. I don't feel the need to do that. So I don't want my man to do that. He was just gathering this information to try and test me, apparently. So, yeah, I told him to cut that girl the fuck off. And he talked to her multiple times during our relationship. She knew about me, but so did the girl he cheated on me with. I don't care who knows about me. I don't care who you tell about me. Home records don't care. The more you tell them about the girl you cheating on, the more they think you into them. Because they think he's being so real with me, bitch. So, no. I don't care if you telling her about me and you bragging about me. I don't care. What was that Usher song? Y'all know that Usher song, so I don't care. Make me want to leave the one I'm with, start a new relationship with you? No. You're not about to be doing that. You're not about to be talking on the phone, texting with no girl while you're with me. So I told him to cut her the fuck off. That went on, I don't know how long, because he was supposed to have not spoken to her after I found those nudes in his phone. But I found out he called her on the phone, concerned about something to do with her mom or something. And she was white. Let me tell you, this is one of those black dudes who thinks white girls want to be with him or some shit. So he surrounds himself with white people, claiming that he get along with white people and all this stuff. You're a fucking thug. You're in and out of jail. White people don't like you. You're a dumbass. So anyway, that was hitting my self-esteem. I'm like, I'm getting ahead of myself. So obviously we were having sex and then it kind of like died down. Too much for me. Too soon. It was like 3 months in and things was like not happening. What am I gonna do? Yeah, I think you're cheating already. So I went off. One day I was like, I demanded to see his phone. And he gave it to me. You know, he did the whole hesitant thing. Yeah, I'll give you your phone. Then he's on it, unlocking it, but and he's like deleting shit, whatever he was doing. So I get in the phone, I find all these messages with all these different girls from the past, yeah, with all his exes, pictures, and so I'm seeing these girls, and they're fat white bitches. So I'm just like, what are you with me for? You trying to try something different? Or because the white girls don't want you? What are you doing? Look, I'm extremely petite. I don't have a butt. I barely have boobs anymore. I'm freaking breastfeeding. I say I'm kind of an old girly, like, you know? I like cutesy stuff, had all my piercings in, like, my hair was red. It's just like, why? Why do you want to be with me? So, yeah, that threw me off. But they were all ugly, so it was like, oh. The girl he cheated on me with was also fat, white, and ugly. So I'm just like, is it that you think having a white girl on your arm gives you more status? So that's why you went out with her and did all these things that you don't ever want to do with me? Because you think it was giving you status? Or are you actually attracted to fat white girls? Or is you still like in plantation mindset and you think getting the slave master's daughter is going to give you certain privileges? I don't know. I still don't know. I'm sorry, but all you black men who is with the white women, you're retarded. My brother is one of them. Okay? I don't have no problem with his wife. I'm just saying, it just doesn't, historically, it bothers me. I'm sure I'm not the only black woman who's like, especially when you have your little preference, but then you go for a black woman and then you treat her like shit. That's when I really have a problem with it. Okay. So put it. Yeah. Hold on. Let's walk together. Walk. Yeah. Walking now. Taking our first step. Yeah, so I wasn't pleased to see that. Not a black woman in sight in his dating history. So I'm just like, yay, you did it. And then I'm offended because they're all fat, and it's like, well, if you like ass, why would you ever be attracted to me? So that really made me feel insecure from the jump. I'm like, oh, he's not having sex with me because he's not attracted to me. That's awesome. That's awesome. But anyway, so those 5 months up till the moment where I found out he was just talking to 20s, scores of other girls the whole entire time. He never stopped. Like, he never got off Facebook dating when we got together. Never. So that was just like, that was in May, and we was having the sex issues in, like, I want to say February, March. A lot of withholding affection. Just like we'd be in bed watching TV. He'd be watching whatever he wanted to watch. Like, he's still. Just like, you got in there by yourself. This girl is too advanced. Well, jeez. She might as well get up and start walking. But, yeah, there was a whole, just a whole mismatch from the beginning. Like, even just like, I'd come over his house and he would just go downstairs and play video games the whole time I was there until it was time to go to bed. And then he would be like, it would be, when I would say something, he'd be like, you can come down there. But mind you, at this time, all his siblings lived in this house. 2 sisters. The older sister had 4 children living in the house. His mom, 3 brothers. And except for his older sister, they all smoked weed. I don't do that. I don't want to be around that. They was just downstairs smoking. Why would I want to hang out? And just like be around just weed smoke. So I would just stay in his room. And he didn't comprehend that. He made it into, I don't want to be around his family. So he created this whole narrative that it's my fault we're not spending time together. Not because he would be on the game regardless, but because I didn't want to go downstairs and follow him around the house, wherever he went. And then, it was just a whole thing. Like, Valentine's Day, he had the whole excuse. He has to work. I had to force him to come to work early because they were having some kind of, like a setup in the restaurant, like a romantic little setup in the restaurant where there was a photo booth. And I was like, oh, I want to take pictures. Mind you, I bought everybody, including him, gifts, his whole family, and the kids, gifts for Valentine's Day. He didn't get me shit. I had to force him to get me a little $3 red bear from Walmart. That's what I got for Valentine's Day. And it wasn't even on Valentine's Day. It wasn't even on the day. So, and then he complained that he had to come up to work early because he didn't want to. This man never gave a fuck about me. Then somehow, late March, we end up going on a trip to Michigan together, right? And I did not want to go. It was for his birthday. His birthday was like April. His birthday is April 4th. No, it's the 3rd. So, he wanted to do this whole, come here. Stop playing with that.
Let's walk together.
He wanted to go up to Michigan for Hash Bash. Again, a weed and drug festival. I didn't want to go. Why would I want to do that? Number one, this is my first trip on my own with a boyfriend. I'm not really into that. And then to go to a weed festival to buy weed and sneak it back in Ohio? Why would I want to do that? The only reason he wanted me to go is so I could pay for half of everything and then eventually everything. So I could pay for half of the hotel, pay for my ticket, and then so I could pay for the rest of everything we did up there. Because he would run out of money up there. So he finally guilted me into saying yes to the trip. Being like, this is my first trip out for my birthday since I've been locked up. Yeah. 3 months in, 3 or 4 months in, I graciously find out that he just recently got out of prison. About a year and a half prior, maybe. Great. I remember that day too. We were coming home. We were driving home back to his place from Crafty Crab. We had just got some seafood. And I don't even know how the conversation came up. For attempted murder. And you know how these jailbirds, they want to tell you a story, how it was in self-defense and all this bullshit. And then eventually his family was backing up the situation like, yeah, it was self-defense. No, it was over a white bitch. Oh, excuse me. She was mixed. She was Native American, mixed with white. It was him shooting a dude because it was a whole bunch of cheating. She was playing both sides. She was playing him and his best friend, so he ended up shooting his best friend. And you gonna tell me that's self-defense just because the dude it was over a girl. The dude is shooting at your house because you was having sex with his girl when you got back out of jail. This is like the 1,000th time he's been in jail. When I tell you, when he got locked up this last time, and I eventually went back home to my dad's with my daughter. I actually looked up his background. Him and his family is from South Carolina, so at this point he's getting in legal trouble across states now. So eventually I look up his whole rap sheet for South Carolina, and it's just, oh my God, just scrolling. I was just like, what the fuck? You just scroll. Oh my God, I'm trying not to get angry, but so yeah, at the time we were together, all I knew was this little attempted murder in the story where it's like he only got 5 years because everybody knew people was on all this bullshit. Anyway, so yeah, I knew he had been incarcerated before. I did not know how many times he had been in jail, though. Just in general. I thought it was a one-off incident. Where it was like, you fucked up, you had to defend your family, there was children in the house. Big sob story. You learn your lesson, you serve your time, you learn your lesson, now you're working full time. You got a car, you're paying your bills. I know you now. I've agreed to be with you because I like who you are as a person. I didn't know that about your past, but it's like, no big deal. Now it's too late now. Now I know you, and yeah, I'd rather take the person I know and stay with the person I know than leave him over his past. Now I regret it, and I told him so many times, if you had told me when we first got together that you had just got out of prison, we would not be together. And it's a great offense for him. Like, that's dumb. Well, look now. But that still doesn't make sense for me to have said to him. That's still just one of the many insults that I've thrown at him. My nasty comments. Okay. Because you don't care about your life, so you can't understand why I don't want my life ruined by a felon? Awesome. Anyway, so I stayed with him even after that. So now it's late March. He's guilted me into going on this trip to a freaking weed festival. That's literally all we were there for. It was in a college town. There was nothing for me to do. I mean, all that was there was a mall across the street from the hotel. That was all there was for me to do, and that was just ironic. We didn't know that until we got there. And we ended up taking the Greyhound because he's scared to drive on the highway. This will come into play later because guess where he went with the girl he cheated on me with, like 2 weeks after we found out we were pregnant? Michigan. But guess who was driving? She was driving her car, so she drove him up there. So my first trip out of town with my boyfriend turns into, it was never anything to begin with. It was just him trying to get some weed. Anyway, I got upset because I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be in a hotel together. We're going to be alone for the first time. We're going to have sexy time. Like, there's a bathtub. We can take a bath together. All this romantic stuff I'm thinking of while all he cares about is getting weed. So then he ends up getting sick. And then I thought he was faking to just get out of sex like usual. He ended up really being sick. Then I had to take care of him. All this, that, and another. So, yeah, we had a humongous argument about that on the trip, and of course I said some nasty stuff because it's like, we're never alone, and you didn't want to like jump on the chance to be intimate like alone before you got sick, because it was like 3 days in. So at this point I'm feeling like I'm raging, like, why are we not having sex? I can't figure it out. Are you not attracted to me? Just this conversation we had so many times. No. And he wouldn't give me an answer. So the ride home was kind of silent. Took the Greyhound. So that was like a long ride. So eventually, like, we made up by the time we got home. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. And then May comes. He's at work one day. I'm in his room, and he had 2 phones, by the way. Go all up in the comments. Just call me a dumb bitch, dumbass, stupid whore. Go ahead and bash me in the comments, because at this point we've had how many transgressions have we had by this point? How many flags have been thrown on the play at this point? Desperate, yeah, for sure. So he's at work and I told you no. I said no. I said no. I said no. I said no. You're gonna have to go. But yes, he's at work. It's so funny because all this terrible stuff just happens to happen in May. He has this, it's a pattern. Like, I have to, has to be doing it on purpose. But yeah, so he had 2 phones. I didn't like it because, as I recall, my ex had 2 phones. And of course he was cheating. Just like this, just countless. Just on the dating app, talking to anybody, everybody and anybody. Well, it was his text messages from my ex. And for my now husband, he was on Facebook dating. I keep hearing his phone go off, and I'm like, what is that? So I finally go in there and look on his Facebook. Has a whole Facebook dating account, very active. It's May, like I said, I find out he's never stopped talking to anybody. So ever since December, ever since he was pursuing me, he was still just dating around, talking to anybody. I read through all the messages, all the conversations, just at least 25. You just kept scrolling. It's the same thing. They was mostly all white. I can't even remember. I didn't see no black women. And then I want to say there was there was a couple black girls. Like 2 or 3. Then the rest is just white girls and then maybe a couple Hispanic girls. It was just like, well, at the time, I was vibrating. Like, I was shaking. And I think I started crying, but then the rage took over. And I was just like, I texted him, I was like, we need to talk when you get home. We're going to have a talk. And then I was pissed off because I had just bought him some CDs or something from the Goodwill. I had just bought him something. So I found the CDs and I broke them. You're not going to have me buying shit for you and you cheating on me. You're on a fucking date now. So then, he came home. He was lying. He said his older brother was using his account. When obviously right there, I was like, so your brother is on Facebook dating, pretending to be you, saying that he's you while he's reaching out to these girls? Guess where his brother was? Down fucking stairs. Guess what I do? Snatch the phone and go downstairs. And ask his brother, is this you? And I said, don't lie, don't lie. Don't lie for your brother. Anyway, so this was the first time I was considering breaking up with him. This was 5 months in. So we were sitting in the car in front of my house. After all of that, you know, he put on the whole sob story. I'm depressed. What does that have to do with you being on Facebook dating? All this bullshit. He was crying. Ugh. So I wanted to break up. And then I remember in the car, he was like, no, I know I want to be with you now. So, anyway, I came up with some kind of list of things he needs to do to earn my forgiveness. You know, he did the things that were on that list, so I forgave him and we moved on, or so I thought. Because after all that is when I found everything on the Snapchat, the disgusting accounts he was following, found the nudes with the girl that he wouldn't stop talking to. This point in the relationship is kind of a blur. I just know there were still the issues that made me feel like he wasn't into me. Like, the intimacy was still a problem. And now it would be like we're sitting in bed together and he's watching TV and I'm just in his face trying to get his attention. He's just staring at the TV. I'm trying to hug him, kiss him. He's not reacting. Every time I would try to talk to him, he's just staring at the video game. Oh, gosh. So that was kind of wearing me down. So we were arguing a lot over stuff like that. I'm trying to remember anything else going on around that time. There was still, there were starting to be a lot of complaints about, like, you never get me a gift. You never do XYZ for me. Like, and of course at this time I'm paying for a lot of stuff. So I'm irritated about that. It just felt like all the time we spent together was just for him. It wasn't intentional. It just always felt like me just being dragged along. He doesn't change his life at all, but I'm just being dragged on. Because it would be stuff like, we go to a laundromat so he could do our laundry. But while we're in the car waiting, it's just like, he's not even speaking to me. Like, he's just watching anime or wrestling or just turning on a movie on his own. Like, this is not like, what do you want to watch? Let's watch something. No, just completely checking out. So, what girl wouldn't be mad? So, anyway. Yeah, he came over to my place for Thanksgiving. And I guess that's where that was his first time coming around, and my brother and his girlfriend was there, and they met. But then, I guess, obviously, to any outsider, it would be obvious, but, you know, my family was laughing at me, insulting me, doing what they usually do. I didn't notice, but he took great notice to that. And then from that moment on, he didn't want to be around my family. Not my mom so much as my dad and my brother. Like, I remember I had, I cut my hair. That happened sometime after we got back together, because before I was dyeing my hair and had a relaxer and, you know, bleach and all that stuff. My hair was falling out. So I was like, damn. Come here. So I was like, let me just cut my hair. So I cut my hair, you know, he took me to the barber to get it fixed up and was washing it for me and stuff like that. So anyway, fast forward to November. You know, I was sick of being bald. His mom had given me some wigs that she didn't wear no more. So, stop. She gotta go. You're done. Bye. How did you get that nail? Come on, girl. Yeah. You guys to go. Congratulations. You're babies. What the heck? Why is the trash out like that? Girl. There ain't no way. Yeah, so I'm going to look snazzy for Thanksgiving. So I put on one of the wigs. I styled it really cute. Did my makeup and put on a cute outfit. So he came over and as soon as my brother sees me, he's like, what is that? Like, pointing to the wig and all this stuff. Like, just, you know, back then I didn't think it was, I didn't even react because I already knew, like, oh my God. Like, can you imagine living your life as you're getting ready for a holiday or something? you're getting ready, you're putting a wig on, and it's like, oh my God, like, or you're doing anything different to your appearance, and you're like, thinking to yourself, oh my God, like, my brother's gonna say something when he sees me, like, they're gonna say something. Like, who could live like that? I don't know how I live like that. But of course, he's, instead of just, it's so hard to just tell your sister, you look nice. It's so hard. So he's, making comments about the wig, and that was upon first seeing him, so I don't remember what else my now husband must have seen that day, but whatever. So then he didn't want to be around my family. So we spent more time around his. Okay, Christmas. Yeah, I remember I was at my parents', but then, and maybe he was also there for Christmas, because I remember there's a picture of all of us, and my mom's wearing red. But red was her favorite color anyway, so I don't remember. But, yeah, I was definitely over at Christmas. Yeah, he was there, yeah. And then we took some of or maybe it was my dad's birthday because it's Christmas Eve, but we left and took some presents over because my family had gotten him some gifts too. My mom. So I remember being both at my parents' and then went back with him to his place with his family on Christmas. Okay, and then, New Year. Yeah. It's coming back to me. It's been so hard recently. Because all I can remember is like from the minute I got pregnant with our daughter, like I just remember the onslaught of trauma. Everything before then, I kind of like black out. But it's coming back to me. Now at this point, we've only been together for about a year. We celebrated our anniversary. And then my life just went downhill because I just remember it was early January. It was like January 5th. And, I had been having some serious issues. He was really bringing out the worst in me at this point because I think by this time I had gotten physical with him. On multiple occasions, screaming, yelling, cussing, just so much rage and anger toward him. And because of the UTIs, I started doing a little bit of research. I found out, Nexplanon is not great. Like it's keeping me not pregnant, but it's not great. And there was discussions had like, okay, is this rage? Is the anger something trauma related, like mental, or is this birth control? For months, that was kind of going on in the background. In my head, I was doing a little bit of research. I don't know what led me to it. like, I think I looked up burnout because in August I had quit my job, the job that we have both worked at. And I had been there for a year and a half. That was the longest I ever stayed at a job. So after I quit that job, I was kind of like, wow, like, I really cannot stay at a job. What is wrong with me? And that wasn't the first time I looked up, like, oh, why can't I stay at a job? What's wrong with me? When I was about 21. And I was still with my ex-boyfriend, I remember. And it's horrible because, you know, I looked up my symptoms. There was 2 options: borderline personality disorder or autism. And at the time when I'm 21, I'm like, I started watching some videos of autistic women just talking, just in general. I didn't know anything about autism. So even though I was relating to these women, I was like, it's just a coincidence. And I definitely preferred the personality disorder. I'm not gonna lie. So, but in January, now I was 25. I looked up burnout because I'm like, what's going on? And then eventually, you know, everything led to autistic burnout, and I was like, what's that? So I'm just clicking around. I end up on a website where it's like one of those assessments, like, and it was like a sliding scale. Like, it was like, should you be concerned type of assessment. I'm a child. I'm a product of the WikiHow quizzes, okay? Like, there has never been a quiz that I won't take in my life. I love online quizzes. I love assessments, personality quizzes, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't think after nothing. I was like, oh, this is just a quiz I haven't taken. Let's see what this is about. And yeah, my results were devastating. Basically, they were like, you should get an assessment for autism. I cannot tell you how bad, like, it was like the floor dropped out from beneath me, and I was like, no. So I just remember my husband must have been at work. He was working night shift still. Because I was up all freaking night on my laptop taking test after quiz, after assessment, after quiz, researching more quizzes, researching shit about autism, just watching, like, every quiz I took, I could not get an answer that was not, you are autistic. So Then I get on YouTube, I start watching videos by tons of great autistic creators. Like I'm Autistic Now What? I found her channel, binged. I'm telling you, binged for days. Like for 3 days, I was just like binging her videos. And then the Thought Spot, and I was just like, oh no. Like I'm not gonna lie, I never been tore up by something so bad. I started going in my baby book. It was too much. It was too much coincidences happening, things that I had found out, like I said, personality wise, right? Of course, I took the Myers-Briggs test so many times, and my personality type is INFJ. Then fast forward a couple years, I'm finding out almost everybody with autism is INFJ, and just autistic people usually look younger than their age, and it's a genetic reason, and just all this horrible stuff, right? Oh God. It's stressing me out just talking about this. But I remember being so torn up. Like my husband and I, he was my boyfriend at the time. Of course, I didn't tell him none of this. He didn't know none of this was going on, or that, nothing about this. Because I was like, this is not happening. So, I remember we had just finished watching Split. Well, the movie was watching him eventually. I was watching it. But, the movie turned off, and I was just like, I remember I just laid, he was asleep, and I just like laid on his chest and just cried. Because I was like, this isn't happening. It's not that I thought he was gonna leave me or nothing, but I just was feeling horrible. And eventually he did find out, because I remember I was watching a video. I had to have told him one day, like we was in the car and he was dropping me off, and I had to have told him because, well, one time I was watching one of I'm Autistic Now What? I was watching one of her videos, and he was like, she's autistic? I was like, yeah. And then eventually he did find out, because we was sitting in the car one day, and he was realizing like how fucked up mentally I was getting over this. And so he was the one who suggested I should actually, like, seriously go to the doctor about this. So, oh my God, why do I feel like I want to cry? Maybe I'll clip this part out, and make it its own separate video of like how I found out I had autism. But yeah, I just feel like crying, because what? That's miserable. And then I'm watching all these videos and everybody's all happy that they're finding out, like, oh, my whole life is getting pieced together. This makes so much sense. And now I can get the help I need and all this other stuff. I'm just thinking to myself, one, I'm thinking, okay, I got neglected so bad that nobody noticed this. Because it was, you know how it's supposed to be very difficult to get an autism assessment? Well, oh, it was just, it was too much. It was like there was never any chance that I was a neurotypical person, like from the jump. So it was, that part of it was disgusting. It was like, okay, so this is glaringly obvious. I don't know. But yeah, I was not feeling happy. I was not feeling good about this. I went, I found a psychologist who specialized in like ADHD and autism. She said, but I guess she had only diagnosed ADHD, and if I had anything, I was like, no big deal. It's just ADHD. I was like, no. When I go to this doctor, she's definitely gonna diagnose me with ADHD. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. I was feeling a little bit relieved because at the doctor, she was like, those online tests, they played up. They want you to pay money, and that. I was like, yeah, you're right. But 2 of the test results really bothered me. I took some I did pay for, others was just free. I took the monotropism quiz, and I took the Aspie quiz. The Aspie quiz was very interesting, how it broke everything down. And I remember as I was taking that quiz, I was so confused at some of those questions. And I was thinking, this is a quiz unlike any I've ever taken in my life. I was constantly scrunching my face up like this. Some of the questions were like, why am I being asked this? Doesn't everybody do this? And I was kind of having like a meltdown. But I had been on Reddit for a couple years by that point, but I got back on there and started like following subreddits after I found out there was a whole like doll community on there. I'm a doll collector. I had been for about a year at that point. So I was like, oh my gosh, like there's other people posting their resales on here. I need to start following subreddits. So that's how that started. And then eventually I found, the autism subreddit. And people were posting like I found this post about like Aspie quiz results. And so, it's like out of 200. So I'm looking at people's result numbers. And that's when I started wondering, well, what would mine be? Like, how autistic am I compared to this subreddit? So, Unfortunately, I got like a 154. So I was panicking. Not gonna lie, mental health was getting crazy. I was kind of getting suicidal. I remember I did self-harm again during this time. For sure, because I was, oh my God. So, I submitted to those results of the test to her. And then she ended up consulting with another doctor because I guess she never had someone like actually come in and have autism instead of ADHD. So she checked with another professional on it. And she also had me take the MBTI and those diagnostic tests. Oh my God. So my husband was taking me to these appointments. But when she gave me that packet where it's like, here are your results, and she left the room for a second. I was devastated, and this is on the personality disorder side of it. I was devastated, but I wasn't gonna. She was gonna be back in 2 seconds. I wasn't gonna start crying right then. So I just kept my cool. It was just, obviously I still have it, like, but she was just like, yeah. I guess I was confused. That was just for her to do, just in general, but because she diagnosed me with autism. So, and her job was to write up a disability thing for me, where it says like, this patient has this disability, so she needs these accommodations, that kind of thing. So I thought she was going to diagnose me also like mentally. And when I talked to her about that, because my results were so inconclusive, I talked to her about that. I was like, well, in your professional opinion though, what would you diagnose me with? She was like, borderline personality disorder. So I was like, of course I already knew a lot about it. I was like, oh, okay, the one personality disorder that is the hardest to treat with the worst stigma. That's awesome. That's great. Then you're laying an autism diagnosis on me. I want to die. So after that, my husband's outside waiting for me. I can't break in front of him. I mean, he was my boyfriend outside. I'm like, I can't break in front of him. I told him, I was like, Yeah, she diagnosed me with autism. But I was making light of the personality disorder in the packet. I was making light of that analysis. Oh my God, it's just 13 pages of you are a horrible sadist. And that's funny, right? Who's the real sadist in my life? Where would I get any sadistic tendencies from? So, that broke my spirit. I was like, oh, I am the problem in this relationship. He's cheating on me because I'm a horrible person, and we don't get along because I'm horrible. I'm overreacting all the time. I got BPD. I got all these problems. Every relationship problem is my fault. So that really kind of solidified it for me. And I got diagnosed officially in March. So then I, like I said, the birth control issue was in the background. So I was like, wait, no. I might not have BPD at least. Maybe it's just the birth control make me act crazy. Maybe I need to get off this shit for real, because at this point, I've been doing enough research to find out Nexplanon causes vaginal dryness, which can lead to UTIs, because I never got no UTIs like this before with anybody. So, and I was like, is it him? Because there's certain periods, it didn't start off like that at all. I'm like, is it him? And it was when I was looking up stuff about UTIs that I found out, like, women had complaints about, how they went off Nexplanon and their UTIs finally stopped. So that, among with my mood, intimacy issues, because we had to start using lube, which I never had to use before. So I knew something was going on physically. It was just like a whole bunch of things came together where it was like, okay, I don't think I want to get this replaced in August. Like I said, it was March going into April at this point. And I finally decided for sure, like, okay, I'm going to go off birth control. And so I had an appointment on like April 11th, I think it was. And my husband was supposed to take me, boyfriend at the time. But he didn't want to take me because it was thundering outside. And he doesn't like driving in thunder and rain. So he made me reschedule it. And I was pissed off. So I rescheduled it, and she had an appointment for the 18th. So then that day, I was like, Well, we should have sex because like 5 days out would be a risk window. All this research I had done, every time it came about, it would say sperm can only live in the vaginal canal for 5 days, right? So I'm like, well, let's just have sex today, so, because we won't be able to later. So we did. And then day of my appointment comes, we go downtown to Planned Parenthood, and oh my God, I have to wait so long to get called back there. And then when I finally got called back, I was in the waiting room just for like an hour waiting for the doctor. And I was getting scared. I was texting back and forth with him and stuff, and like I remember I sent him a picture of all the supplies on the table. But yeah. And I think just last night I saw a video of somebody, like a professional, putting the next one on in. And I was like, is that what they did to me? Not even once, but like 3 times. What the fuck? And to think something like that wouldn't do anything to you long term, oh my God. But yeah, I was scared to get taken out because I was like, oh my God. But yeah, she finally came in, she sat down, she talked to me. Oh my God, I remember. I remember her saying, have you had sex recently? I said, last week. Like a literal week ago, 7 days. And she was like, well, 6 to 7 days is the cutoff. So you could get pregnant when this gets taken out. I was just like, okay, that's not a welcome surprise. And dang, I want this thing out of me. It's fucking with me. So I just decided to take that risk. So she took it out. And it's crazy because I was noting down like my symptoms after getting it taken out. Because I was like, I was planning to get my hormones back on track. Start doing freaking, I don't know. I was just ready to get into my femininity and like value my cycle and learn about my cycle and all that stuff. So I was trying to know, like, okay, how long does it take my hormones to get back on track, and what am I feeling during that process? I remember on the way home, we were driving, and I was like so dizzy and nauseous. But I was just like, oh, that's just the hormones getting flushed out. And then it so happened, so on the 22nd, it's because I was noting shit on my calendar at this point because I was trying to like stop the explosions that were happening at my boyfriend. And so I was like noting everything. I was like noting what we did that day. I believe I was even noting like how much we were having sex and stuff like that. So all of that is on the calendar, and that's why I know the dates. But someday, like 2 days, we were supposed to be getting condoms. I had to buy the condoms. Ugh. Like, you would think he was completely out of the know on all this stuff. No. He was literally there. So 2 days later, he knows I'm on birth control. In the middle of the night, he rolls over. He wants to have sex. I'm like, no. So then I finally bought the condoms. But I think before that, there was a slip up that I initiated us to have sex. And he claims that this whole situation was me pressuring him and telling him that I was going to start yelling and screaming and start an argument if he didn't have sex with me. That's not what happened at all. It was a mutual decision. He just didn't want to have sex with me anymore. So, you know, we're doing it. And in the middle, he like stops me. Remember this for just, So he stops me and he's like, basically he wants to stop. Like, he doesn't want to risk me getting pregnant. I'm like, oh, but you just tried the other day. Our whole relationship, even while you was cheating, you was running your mouth, talking about having kids together, to the point where I was getting mad. Like, that's how much he kept talking about it. And it was just like, I kept telling him, I want to get married first. No, stop talking about this. You need to step up. You need to prove to me some stuff before. Anyway. So earlier in the week, he was trying to get me pregnant. Now all of a sudden, we're doing it. He wants me to stop. Okay. So we stopped. And then, but I woke up the next morning and oh my gosh, the things that I remember while I'm talking. Like, when I was 18, I thought I had a pregnancy scare with my first boyfriend because I thought I was losing my virginity. In reality, he was just fingering me and my freaking eyes were closed, so. Well, I really don't know what happened. Ladies, do not close your eyes when something sexual is happening. You need to know what's happening. So anyway, back then, I found out you can get pregnant from pre-cum. Fast forward to now. I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh shit, I'm off birth control. We started having sex. He didn't come, but that doesn't matter. You can still get pregnant. So then I started researching, what to do. That leads me to start researching abortion. which is a hot topic for years now, right? On the news, they make it seem like it's this easy, great, awesome procedure. Bro, I watched it was a gynecologist he had done tens of thousands of abortions. So he was describing all the different ways. I saw all the different types, the methods, how they do it. I was just like, wow. That's disgusting. That's what happened. I was like, wow, that's disgusting. You know, my whole knowledge of that debate shattered when I realized I really knew nothing. And if that was the reality, I ain't trying to do that. Because before, I was being stupid and I was joking about it. I was like, if we get pregnant, like, I'm definitely getting an abortion. Like, I don't want your baby. Then when the incident comes and I'm like, I actually find out about what it is. And then not even getting into later on when I get in my Bible and start doing research about like satanic rituals and all that stuff. No, I'm not into all that. So it's funny, the situation that I got put in and that I was put in recently, where it's like Satan is trying to scheme to do more child sacrifices. Anyway. So, you know. So that day I go to him. He's playing the video game. Ugh. This is a serious conversation I need to have with him, and he's staring at the game. So, he doesn't want to admit that this happened because it would make what he did completely disgusting and wrong. I sat on the edge of the bed after we had unprotected sex just the night before. I said, okay, if we do get pregnant, because you know there's a chance, right? If we do get pregnant, do you want to keep it or get an abortion? Because I was told I don't give him a choice in anything. I was told what I would do in a situation like this. Then I did the opposite, right? I asked you, even though you wasn't trying to do nothing to prevent it, I had to buy the condoms. What did he say? He said he'd want to keep the baby. That's what he said. And what did I say? I said, okay. And we went about our day. He saw me buying the pregnancy test. We were in the store together. He's present. He's here. He's seeing it. He's not blind. He's hearing me. He's seeing me. Now, if you want to be in denial, that's fine. So, by this point, I had a stockpile of pregnancy tests. And I had scheduled it out when I was going to take these tests. Like I said, this is like late April. We had unprotected sex on like the 28th. So, I was supposed to take a pregnancy test on... Well, I took one in April at some time. It was negative. I was supposed to take one on the 8th. But the pregnancy tests were with him, and I was at home. So I was like, it's fine. Wait till next time I'm over there. So I ended up being back over there, and it was the night of Mother's Day, like the early morning. It was like 12 or 1 a.m. after Mother's Day. So he's just in his room, and I told him I'm gonna take the test again. This is my other scheduled test. When I go in the bathroom, pee on the stick, that test lit up. My daughter lit that test up so quick. I didn't even have. I was just standing there staring at it. And then all of a sudden I was happy, but I felt sick. So I stayed in the bathroom for like 10 minutes. I was like, there's no way. I was so happy. And so I came out the bathroom. I'm thinking he's going to be happy too. He's going to ask me to marry him because he said he wants to last week. He said he wants to keep the baby. He says he wants to have a baby with me. Just last week we talked about this, right? So I show him, and he just goes through 1,000 different emotions before he's like, we have to get an abortion. I'm like, oh. So we start arguing. He keeps making up reason after reason after reason. Our relationship's not good. That's just another bill. We're already struggling. Blah, 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 blah. Then somehow he falls asleep. I'm sitting there. So I'm in the dark, sitting there, listening to him snoring. How are you asleep right now? Obviously, I can't sleep. And I'm sitting there crying. And then I wake him up, and we're arguing again. I'm like, I want to have the baby. Like, why are you saying this? Like, he kept telling me, I'm not about to argue with you 3 times. I'm not doing it. And I'm not about to be a single mom out here. So then he said something like, take another test in the morning when we wake up. Because he was just like in denial. So I took another test in the morning, same deal. And for some reason, I remember me comforting him in this situation. Because I remember his brother came in and was like, what's wrong? And we were sitting on the bed, and I was holding him. And I was just like, nothing. So I checked out. I was just like, okay, that's what we're going to do then. I'm not about to argue with you again. So, he had already started cheating. So, because in early May, we were arguing again over something, and I saw that he was being all possessive over his phone, and he had changed his wallpaper from me to something else. So I remember asking him then, are you cheating on me or something? So, come to find out, well, ugh. Basically, I had wrote him this big letter. I was like, well, even if we're gonna get this abortion, like, I want to appreciate this pregnancy and I want to like celebrate it and stuff like that. So after he read that and we was having a conversation, after that he immediately was just like, can I go? I'm thinking about going on this trip with my friend. To get some weed. I don't remember what he said, but he started talking about weed after that. And a trip to go get some weed. And he asked me something like, should I go or can I go? Obviously, I'm confused. I'm like, that's what you're thinking about right now? Great, asshole. But, the trip happened to be with the girl he was already cheating with. Of course, I find out that in these two co-workers that he sent me photos of because he was so guilty about what he was doing. He sent me pictures like, oh, these are the people that I'm hanging out with all the time. It was this gay stud and a dude. I was like, okay. He was like, so basically, like, trust me, like, he didn't mention that a girl was in this group too. A white girl. His coworker. Tagging along everywhere with them because she was friends with the stud. So, of course, later, after he's already been arrested, 8 months later, is when I find out what he was doing while I was having a mental breakdown. Texting him, calling him, saying I wanted to kill myself. What was he doing? He was in the car taking Snapchats with her on the way up on a road trip to Michigan. How do I know this? Because I got into his Snapchat after he got locked up. All you have to do is put the times and the dates together. I sat there with my phone, our text message thread, and his phone and Snapchat in the other hand. Ugh. That was 2 weeks after we found out we were pregnant. Then he went to the zoo with her family. And this one hurt because I had been asking him to go to the zoo for a long time. I only asked for a couple specific dates. I asked to go on a picnic. I asked to go to the zoo. And I asked to do like pumpkin picking when it was like October. None of those things ever happened, but so you were just going out doing all these things with her? Just that really hurt me because I'm watching the videos. She's in the videos. He taking videos. He never takes videos or pictures of me or nothing when we did anything together. He wasn't posting Snapchat. I'm getting mad just thinking about this. I don't even know if I want to post this video. So eventually, sex stops altogether. He starts acting weird. He doesn't want to see me anymore. July comes, and I'm over it. Now, mind you, in late June, eventually he went back and forth, back and forth. The abortion date was coming up. I had a full panic attack. I couldn't do it. So I told him, look, I can't do this. We should think about this for real. Anyway, he was off gallivanting with the dumb bitch. He ghosted me for like 2 days when we're supposed to be figuring this out. What are we gonna do? I exploded. He wasn't answering my phone calls or nothing. Oh my God, this just makes me so angry because the amount of torture I was put through in that pregnancy, and then he's trying to repeat it now. Or tell me that somehow any of that was justified. Oh. So he broke up with me eventually. He was just like, I don't want to be with you. This is directly after he told me he wanted to keep the baby and work things out. So then he breaks up with me, right? And at this point, I'm mentally checking out. I'm like, okay. And then unfortunately, around this time, my mom was back in the freaking hospital. And that's around the time that she called me from the hospital. She went in for tachycardia. That was it. Like, I remember, because she was fine. She was doing fine. I feel like I just remember this day. Because we was in the dining room, and it was like, she was standing up, walking, everything. She was fine. She was not looking sick. And her and my dad had just come home from the store because there was groceries on the table. And she was just like, we're going to go up to the hospital real quick. She was just like, my heart is just beating kind of fast. And I think she checked her blood pressure, and it was a little bit high, maybe, or low. I was just like, okay, no big deal. Just getting a check. That turned into like a stay, a 3-day stay. And that's when she called me to tell me that it had spread to her, the cancer had spread to her brain, and now we are dealing with brain cancer. And she was like, but no, don't worry, because like, I have a surgery scheduled for like next week. Or it might have been in the following days. I don't remember, but anyway. I remember I called him and I was like crying. Had a breakdown. Then he came over. He came in the house because my parents was gone to the hospital. And I remember sitting at the table for him. I made him some food. We was eating like some chips with like dip. And I just said something like, you should find somebody nicer than me. And yeah, I guess he already had. So anyway. So for context, the depth of my morning sickness I was dealing with alone, because My mom was in the hospital. My dad was with her in the hospital. My boyfriend had ditched me. And then I remember he broke up with me. And then the next day he was texting me he loves me. Because I was at the hospital with my mom after her surgery. And we got at the hospital, and I remember that was the day I told my brother. And then I was telling my family, like, you know, we're not getting along right now. And they was giving me advice. It just pisses me off because it was like, ugh. Anyway, my rage started getting uncontrollable. I was feeling so rejected. I was just like, whatever. I'm like, if he can be on all these dating apps, why can't I? And he just broke up with me, so fuck you. So I got on Facebook dating. And it's crazy because I was on there for 2 days. And somehow his brother found my account and told him. So here he is bashing me about being on Facebook dating while he's going on full-on road trips with another woman. Right? Oh. So I deleted my account. But I still have Facebook. So I made a post, like some kind of relationship post. And my childhood sweetheart, who I mentioned earlier, liked it and replied to it or something. He was like, check your messages or like message me or something like that. And the last time I had talked to him, I was like 18. But we didn't necessarily, it was just like spurts of talking again. So, yeah, so we were messaging, exchanged phone numbers, and he's like, I'm back in town. I actually moved, but I'm back in town visiting family this weekend. Like, do you want to hang out? Normally, I would just say, no, I don't want to do shit with you. But my boyfriend's fucking rejecting me. I'm not going to keep taking this. And I think the night before we had been texting and I was trying to be like flirty and cute and, you know, just talk romantically, and he was just acting so stupid. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. So yeah. So I got up. I'm 2 months pregnant at this point. So I got up and, you know, got all cute and ready. But then like hours was passing by. And then he texted me. It was like 11 something. He texted me. He was like, oh, sorry. Like, I'm visiting my family. And I was about to go back in my room, take my clothes off, put my pajamas on, and just go back to bed and forget it. But then he was like, we can go on a picnic. Do you want to go on a picnic? And I just had stars in my eyes. Remember, I told you I've been begging my boyfriend to take me on a picnic because I just want to go so bad. I just thought it would be something sweet where we can sit in the grass and like relax, not have our phones out, and actually talk to each other for once. So I was just desperately looking forward to something like that. And so when my childhood sweetheart suggested it, and it was like, as a first date, I'm like, something in me was like, Oh my God, something I've been begging one guy for. This other guy doesn't think nothing of it so much that he's like, it's a first date activity to him. So that's why I ended up waiting around all day to go on this picnic. By the time he called me, it was like 5 o'clock. I already changed my clothes. And was just like, okay, I got ghosted. But then he called me. And, you know, we're flirting, being like, oh, that's what you sound like now. Oh my gosh, da da da. And he was like, do you want Chick-fil-A? What you want to eat? We can grab Chick-fil-A. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I waited around. He got there like 7-ish. And I left. He got out the car and opened the door for me. You know, I have stars in my eyes again. It's just like, how pathetic is this that for the offer of a picnic, I'm cheating while pregnant? That's how bad my relationship is. So I can only imagine how little this white bitch had to do to get his attention. So, you know, we're talking in the car, go to Chick-fil-A. It's like, if I divorce my husband, I will be left with such PTSD, because I remember being in the passenger seat as my childhood sweetheart is like ordering for us, and I'm scared he's gonna ask me for money or turn to me and be like, you got this. He didn't, thankfully. Oh my God. But yeah, so then we went to the park, had a little picnic, walked around the park. And I remember being so, like, annoyed. And just being so fake. Because I'm just like, he wanted to hold hands. I'm just like, man, this is not my boyfriend's hands. He's not as tall as my boyfriend. This is not my boyfriend. This is not how our walks usually go. Like, I was just so mad. And, you know, he kept wanting to kiss and stuff. I was just like, no, you gotta wait. And then, eventually I did kiss him, and I was like, whatever. So, then we left, and on the way back, like in the car, he's like rubbing my leg, and I'm just like, oh my God. Might as well. So then I start baiting it, and I'm like, oh, are you alone at the hotel? You're staying in a hotel? Are you alone there? Are you lonely? I bet you're lonely there. I could come join you. So yeah, I ended up sleeping with him that night, and it was just like, oh, I'm like, this is not my boyfriend. This is not my boyfriend's hair. Where are my boyfriend's tattoos? Why isn't my boyfriend calling me to get mad? Like, where am I? We haven't talked in ages. Why isn't he blowing my phone up? Oh. Anyway, so he drops me off at like 11. We say bye. I'm supposed to be going over. Like, my boyfriend was supposed to be coming to get me. So I call him and I'm like, what the hell? Because in the morning I had made up something. I was like, I acted like I was texting another guy, and I was like, thanking him for some flowers he got me. So I texted my boyfriend. I was like, thanks for the flowers. And then I was like, ooh, my bad. Like, that wasn't for you. So then he got enraged over that. And then so he didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. But I was like, what the fuck? So I got home. I ended up calling him. And of course we start arguing. Because I'm like, I'm supposed to be coming over. You're supposed to be coming to get me. He's like, I don't want you to come over. And then I'm like, oh. Because what you said, I was like, I was just kidding. Like, no. Yeah. Then, something happened the following day. We were supposed to be talking things through. He wouldn't answer any of my questions. He wasn't engaging in the conversation. And then he pulled this thing that he always would pull, which would piss me off. He'd be like, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for work. So we start a conversation hours prior. Then you stall. You put up every wall to not have the conversation. And then you tell me you need to hang up. So I exploded. Like, I started screaming. I got up from that phone. I was sitting at the dining room table. I got up from the phone. And I slammed the knife block off the counter onto the kitchen floor. And then I threw over the box. And I was just screaming. And then I was like, I calmed down a little bit and I was like, I need to hang up. And I just hung up. And then I continued my rampage. And then I ended up hurting my hand. I'm 2 months pregnant at this point. And up till now, I've been having some severe ideation and thoughts about wanting to harm the baby. And took actions to harm the baby. I was in therapy. It wasn't helping. I was on and off the hotline with 988. It seemed like every week. And I just reached my breaking point that day. And I was just like, I need severe help right now. I'm going to be a mom and I need to get this shit together. So after that, I end up researching mental health facilities, mental health hospitals. I got me an appointment for, I don't know what day, like Monday or something, to have an assessment done to see if I'm a fit. And yeah, so went there and did that. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a part 2 to this.